pure devastation. And you come here and you look at it and where do I start?
First at 6, a KGW weather impact alert as widespread flooding impacts communities across our region.
And new tonight, dramatic drone video from the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, which shows the rescue of a family of 6 this morning, including 4 children. And that is their truck surrounded by surging floodwaters from the Molalla. Crews used ropes to get life jackets in and then ropes and rafts to bring them all to safety. Clackamas County, one of the hardest hit areas, with the sheriff telling us tonight crews evacuated at least 300 homes.
And this map shows the evacuation levels in our area. Most of the level 3 and level 2 evacuations have been lifted. There are still, though, around 12 people in a level 1 evacuation zone, but many folks finally being allowed to return home. Thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Pitawanich.
And I'm David Mulco. Tragically tonight, that flooding has also turned deadly. The Yamaha County Sheriff's Office telling us a 52-year-old man from Amity drove around a road closure barrier in rural Sheridan and into floodwaters that ultimately swept him away. Officials say this is exactly why they're urging people to take closures and evacuation orders seriously.
And we have team coverage tonight, starting with Jake Holter live in Estacada. Jake, what can you tell us?
That's right, David and Christine. So Paradise Park was issued a level 3 go now evacuation order overnight. And we actually stopped by this home yesterday while the owner was preparing for the flood. What ended up happening, he could hardly believe.
It came right through here, came through our carport, came across the side of the house, came on the other side of the house. You can see it dug out all under the carport.
Rob Hudson says the river itself was flowing underneath his home, dragging debris through his carport, dislodging his drain pipe, and even getting inside the home as it continued to rise.
The whole street turned into the river, basically.
While he spent Thursday sandbagging the back of his son's home as well, it's still flooded as water ended up coming through the front. Across the way, the water running right into Bill Madden's garage.
Came right up to there. So we just missed the drywall.
Madden owns Barton Antique Mall and says thousands of dollars worth of product has been destroyed.
Yeah, pure devastation. And you come here and you look at it and where do I start?
But luckily this family heirloom, a 1960 Rolls Royce, was mostly spared.
Still got some Grey Poupon in there for you.
And further down Paradise Road, Larry Krause's cabin flooded out.
When I got home at 1, I said, no problem, I'll spend the night here and deal with it tomorrow. But then, you know, as 2 or 3 more hours went on, and you watched the water come up, and then NOAA changed their reporting, and then I got some calls from people who had been down here for 30, 40 years, and they said, hey, you know, they thought NOAA was spot on. But I mean, it seemed like impossible based on what you were seeing out there.
NOAA data has the river reaching more than 26 feet overnight.
Probably between a foot and a half.
Krause says it was a mad dash to get everything up off the floor.
Panic is what it, you know, is the way I would put it. It was just.
The water's still very high near his home Friday afternoon as cleanup begins. And the Red Cross had set up an emergency shelter overnight in Oregon City for those who had to evacuate and had nowhere to go. The river now at minor flooding stage here in Paradise Park. Back to you.
At least good to see the water level going down. Jake Holter along the Clackamas there. Appreciate it.
Our coverage continues with the Molalla River that's left its mark on homes along its banks. John Adams has the latest.
We are in the Shady Dell area where level 3 evacuation orders were issued last night. And while the rising waters have receded today, we still saw plenty of the flood's aftermath. People living along the Molalla River in Clackamas County know the power of Mother Nature.
It's better to be safe than sorry because this water's got a mind of its own. And it could definitely take something out.
In the low-lying areas of Shady Dell, you can still see the aftermath of floodwaters that prompted a level 3 evacuation late Thursday night. Barbara Welch lives nearby and came to check out the damage at a nearby park.
You can just see the ripples of mud and all the leaves and twigs, debris up around the picnic tables where the water just swished on by.
Just down the road, more homes and properties remained partially flooded Friday afternoon, including the Molalla Train Park. President Patrick Dooling arriving to find parts of the park underwater Friday morning.
Well, first I was happy that nobody got hurt and everybody was safe. And then the second thing that went through my head is we got a lot of work and we had a lot of tire replacement and a lot of track repair ahead of us.
The park, which runs on donations, sustained damage to its tracks, some electrical wiring, and trailers on property. Dooling says he will spend the day assessing the damage before getting to work on repairs in the coming weeks.
You just have to get it done. One way or the other, you have to figure out a way to make it happen.
The damage, a good reminder of how destructive floodwaters can be.
I don't get close to it. I respect it. I really do respect the, what's going on.
Some of the evacuation orders were lifted across Clackamas County by Friday afternoon. The cleanup process for folks here in Shady Dell is only just beginning. In Clackamas County, John Adams, KGW News.
Yeah, that water behind him high and moving fast. Let's get right to our Celine Stevens in the Weather Center now.
And Celine, it looks like things, at least the weather, have calmed down for now.
Definitely, yeah. Big change from what we were seeing yesterday, even at this time. We had that heavy downpour really throughout the day because of the atmospheric river, and today just scattered showers, which was really nice. 44 degrees right now at the moment. Those winds coming out of the west at 8 miles per hour. Looking at that radar again, throughout the course of the day, we've been dealing with that light rain. We've had a couple lightning strikes in certain areas, but no widespread thunderstorms or anything like that. A little bit of hail in the northern Oregon coast earlier today as well, but outside of that, everything has really calmed down. Of course, that risk of flooding still continues. Looking at our watches and warnings, like I said, risk of flooding still continues. So we're still looking at that flood watch through early tomorrow morning, as we just saw so much moisture. All because the rain has stopped doesn't mean that we're seeing high water in those rivers still, and that will continue through the weekend. Also dealing with a winter storm warning for the eastern slopes of the Oregon Cascades. Mount Hood itself is under a winter weather advisory. We could see around 3 inches of snow in the passes tonight, even more snow accumulating throughout the weekend. They've been seeing snow showers throughout the day as well. So looking at our future cast, we're going to have that rainfall continuing to move through our area all weekend long and all evening as well. Obviously, 10:30, we're seeing some of that shower activity return to Portland. And as we get toward our weekend, we're actually going to be dealing with a low pressure system now. So temperatures are dropping, more rain, but nothing compared to what we've already seen yesterday. So that will be the good news. But of course, additional rainfall over the next 48 hours and even into next week as well. So looking at our weekend weather, Saturday, upper 40s, scattered showers, may even see some sunshine. Today we got a rainbow, so maybe we'll get another one tomorrow. Sunday, more of a cooler day and also just seeing more widespread rainfall as well, especially toward the evening hours. But again, nothing like what we saw just yesterday. I'll have more for you guys coming up.
Oh, Celine, I love your optimism. Appreciate it. Let's talk about the Sandy River now. That's after crews rescued 3 people near the Delta this morning in 2 separate calls.
The first involved 2 people and a dog. After a roughly hour-and-a-half search on the ground and in the air with a drone, the people were found safe. A few hours later, a man got stuck on a paddleboard in the floodplain. He was eventually rescued and taken to the hospital. This area is a known hotspot for illegal camping as well. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office released a statement on that, saying in part, quote, allowing encampments to remain here exposes people to serious danger and repeatedly draws emergency responders into preventable, high-risk situations. We support state efforts to mitigate the illegal camping occurring, which includes continued coordinated intervention and enforcement, end quote.
All right, let's talk about our roads now, where flooding and landslides and other hazards have closed several highways in our area, including a stretch of the historic Columbia River Highway. This is a landslide that shut it down between Larch Mountain Road and Vista House. As always, take a look at Trip Check before you head out.
And all this rain is washing debris into local rivers. This is what the Willamette looked like this morning. A viewer also sent in these photos of debris. Wow. Look at that, just piled up at the marina on the Columbia River. It's a visual reminder of why officials say to stay out of rivers and floodwaters during major weather events.
You hit that with a boat, you're in big trouble. Well, stay with us for ongoing coverage of the weather impacts over the next hour. Don't forget, you can track the very latest anytime on KGW.com, on the KGW mobile app, and our free TV streaming app, KGW+.
In your headlines, in Multnomah County's annual report on homeless deaths released today, it found at least 372 people died while experiencing homelessness in 2024. Total homeless deaths are down 18% from 2023 in the first year-over-year decrease in more than a decade. But the number of people who died last year is still higher than any year other than 2023. The leading cause of death was drug overdose. Some say the downward trend could signal investments in homeless services are saving lives.
Homelessness is not tense. It's not garbage. It's not needles on the ground or sleeping bags in your doorways. These are human beings. We are human beings. We share your faiths and your dreams, your disciplines and your accomplishments. If this data indicates anything, it's that our community's significant investments over the last several years are now beginning to make a difference in the lethality of living on the streets of Portland.
County health leaders say the decrease in fentanyl deaths in 2024 and early data from this year give them hope that the county is past the worst of the fentanyl epidemic. Still, data show homeless people were 40 times more likely to die from an overdose. That is compared to the entire county population.
State police are asking for help tonight finding the man they say stole from the Oregon School for the Deaf. Police say the suspect climbed through a window at the school in Salem early Thursday morning and hauled away about $50,000 worth of items in that side-by-side there. Authorities describe him as in his mid-30s, about 5'7", wearing a bright orange hoodie and a brown hat and sweatpants with UO Oregon down the leg. Anyone with information should call Oregon State Police.
The NTSB has recovered plane audio from the flight that killed former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle and 6 others, including Biffle's family. Today, the agency said it is reviewing one of the black boxes and the cockpit voice recorder to figure out exactly why the small plane crashed. The aircraft was trying to return to a North Carolina airport shortly after it took off Thursday. It's something officials are still trying to figure out: who was in the pilot's seat.
At this time, we have been unable to verify who was flying the airplane. We do know 3 of the occupants did possess a pilot's license, but we have been unable to verify that at this time. But that is one of the things we're working on.
The NTSB also says it is not aware if any Mayday call was made or if there were any issues with the plane.
To Lynn County now, where authorities are asking for help finding 2 men they say were caught on camera illegally taking a deer near Sweet Home. Troopers say the men were spotted dragging the deer on private property near Scott Mountain Road. This was on December 10th. Anyone with information should call the Turn-In Poachers line or contact state police.
Oregon Senators Jeff Merkley and Ron Wyden are sending new federal support to the Central Coast to fight coastal erosion. More than $2 million will fund restoration work in the Siletz and Yaquina estuaries in Lincoln County. The project restores tidal wetlands, improves salmon habitat, and helps protect nearby communities from flooding and storm surges as extreme weather becomes more common.